For privacy reasons, names and places have been changed. This story is inspired by true events.
On August 14, 1993, 17-year-old Jennifer Walsh disappeared during one of the most severe thunderstorms in Nebraska's recorded history. The high school senior had been driving home from her summer job at a local restaurant when the massive storm system swept across Lincoln County, bringing with it torrential rain, baseball-sized hail, and winds exceeding 80 miles per hour. Despite an extensive search operation that covered hundreds of square miles of rural Nebraska farmland, no trace of Jennifer or her blue Honda Civic was ever found. The case became one of the state's most perplexing missing person mysteries, with investigators unable to determine whether Jennifer had been a victim of the storm's fury or had met some other fate. For 2 years, Jennifer's disappearance remained unsolved, gradually fading from daily headlines but never from the minds of her family and friends. Then, in September 1995, Dr. Michael Rodriguez, a meteorologist at the National Weather Service in Omaha, was conducting research on historical storm patterns when he made a discovery that would finally provide answers to the questions that had haunted the community for years. While reviewing archived satellite footage from the August 1993 storm, Rodriguez spotted an anomaly in the imagery that had been overlooked during the original search efforts. This discovery would not only solve Jennifer Walsh's disappearance but would also reveal how modern technology could uncover secrets that had been hidden by nature itself for 2 long years. This is the complete investigation into Jennifer Walsh's disappearance, from the violent storm that claimed her to the technological breakthrough that would finally bring her home. Chapter 1. Into the Storm. August 14, 1993 started as a typical summer day in Lincoln County, Nebraska, with clear skies and temperatures in the mid-80s. For 17-year-old Jennifer Walsh, it was the end of another shift at Murphy's Family Restaurant, where she had been working as a waitress throughout the summer to save money for her senior year at North Platte High School. Jennifer was a responsible teenager who maintained excellent grades while working part-time and participating in the school's drama club. Her parents, Robert and Patricia Walsh, described their daughter as mature and reliable, someone who always called if she was going to be late and never caused them worry about her judgment or decision-making. The Walsh family lived on a small farm about 15 miles southeast of North Platte, where Robert raised corn and soybeans while Patricia worked as a nurse at the local hospital. Jennifer had been driving herself to work all summer in her blue 1989 Honda Civic, a car she had purchased with her own earnings from previous summer jobs. Murphy's Family Restaurant was located on Highway 30, about 12 miles from the Walsh farm. The drive typically took Jennifer about 20 minutes, following rural roads that she had traveled hundreds of times since getting her driver's license the previous year. On August 14th, Jennifer had worked the lunch and early dinner shift, serving customers and helping with the restaurant's busy Sunday crowd. Her supervisor, Margaret Chen, later told investigators that Jennifer had seemed her usual cheerful self and had been looking forward to starting her senior year in a few weeks. The National Weather Service had issued a severe thunderstorm watch for central Nebraska earlier that afternoon, but the storms were not expected to reach Lincoln County until late evening. When Jennifer left work at 6:30 p.m., the sky was still clear with only a few scattered clouds visible on the western horizon. Jennifer's usual route home took her south on Highway 83 for about 8 miles, then east on County Road 47 for the remaining distance to her family's farm. The route was mostly rural farmland with few houses or businesses, but Jennifer was comfortable with the drive and had never experienced any problems. At approximately 6:45 p.m., Jennifer stopped at a convenience store near the intersection of Highway 83 and County Road 47 to purchase gas and a soft drink. The store clerk, David Martinez, later told investigators that Jennifer had mentioned the approaching storm clouds and said she wanted to get home before the weather turned bad. This was the last confirmed sighting of Jennifer Walsh. Security cameras at the convenience store showed her leaving the parking lot at 6:52 p.m., turning east onto County Road 47 toward her family's farm. She should have arrived home by 7:15 p.m. at the latest. However, the severe weather system that meteorologists had been tracking all day suddenly intensified and changed course, moving much faster than predicted. By 7 p.m., the massive storm front was bearing down on Lincoln County with unprecedented fury. The storm that hit Lincoln County that evening was later classified as a derecho, a widespread, long-lived windstorm associated with bands of rapidly moving thunderstorms. The system brought winds exceeding 80 miles per hour, hail up to 3 inches in diameter, and rainfall rates of up to 4 inches per hour. At the Walsh farm, Robert and Patricia were monitoring weather reports and becoming increasingly concerned as the storm approached. They had expected Jennifer to arrive home well before the severe weather hit, and her absence was becoming alarming as the first lightning strikes appeared on the horizon. Patricia tried calling Jennifer's cell phone at 7:20 p.m., but the call went directly to voicemail. Cell phone coverage in rural Nebraska was spotty in 1993, and the approaching storm would have further interfered with signal transmission. By 7:30 p.m., the full force of the storm had reached the Walsh farm, bringing torrential rain, hail, and winds that shook the farmhouse and knocked out electrical power. The Walshes were forced to take shelter in their basement as the storm raged overhead with unprecedented intensity. The storm continued for nearly 2 hours, causing widespread damage throughout Lincoln County. Trees were uprooted, power lines were downed, and several buildings were damaged by high winds and hail. Many rural roads became impassable due to flooding and debris. When the storm finally passed around 9:30 p.m., Robert Walsh immediately attempted to drive County Road 47 to look for Jennifer, but found the road blocked by fallen trees and standing water. He was forced to return home and wait until morning to begin searching for his daughter. At first light on August 15th, Robert Walsh and several neighbors began a systematic search of County Road 47 and the surrounding area. They found evidence of the storm's destructive power everywhere: damaged crops, uprooted trees, and flooded low-lying areas. However, despite searching for hours, they found no trace of Jennifer or her blue Honda Civic. It was as if she had simply vanished into the storm, leaving behind no clues about what had happened during those crucial minutes when the derecho had swept across Lincoln County. The Walsh family contacted the Lincoln County Sheriff's Office at 8:30 a.m. on August 15th to report Jennifer missing. The severity of the previous night's storm made it clear that Jennifer might have been caught in dangerous conditions, and an immediate search effort was organized. The disappearance of a teenager during one of Nebraska's most severe storms in recent memory would trigger one of the largest search operations in the state's history. However, finding answers in the aftermath of such a destructive weather event would prove to be more challenging than anyone could have anticipated. Chapter 2: The Search. The search for Jennifer Walsh began on August 15, 1993, under extremely challenging conditions. The derecho that had swept through Lincoln County the previous evening had left a path of destruction that made normal search operations nearly impossible. Sheriff Michael Thompson of the Lincoln County Sheriff's Office coordinated the initial response, but the extent of storm damage throughout the county stretched emergency resources to their limits. Road crews were working to clear major highways, and power companies were struggling to restore electricity to thousands of customers. Detective Lisa Rodriguez was assigned as the lead investigator for Jennifer's case. With 12 years of experience in missing person investigations, Rodriguez immediately recognized that the severe weather conditions would complicate every aspect of the search effort. The primary challenge was that many rural roads remained impassable due to flooding, fallen trees, and debris. County Road 47, which Jennifer had been traveling when the storm hit, was particularly badly damaged, with several low-lying areas remaining underwater and numerous trees blocking the roadway. Search teams had to work systematically to clear and inspect each section of Jennifer's route, looking for any sign of her vehicle or evidence of what had happened when the storm struck. The process was slow and dangerous, with unstable trees and washed-out road sections posing ongoing hazards. The Nebraska State Patrol provided additional resources, including helicopter support for aerial reconnaissance once weather conditions permitted flying. However, the widespread debris and altered landscape made it difficult to spot anything unusual from the air. On August 16th, search teams discovered Jennifer's first piece of property, her purse, found in a field about 2 miles from where she was last seen. The purse was damaged and waterlogged but contained Jennifer's identification and wallet, confirming that she had been in the area when the storm hit. The discovery of Jennifer's purse prompted an intensive search of the surrounding area, with volunteers and professional search teams combing through fields, ditches, and wooded areas looking for additional clues. However, the storm had redistributed debris across a wide area, making the search extremely challenging. Search dogs were brought in to help track Jennifer's scent, but the heavy rainfall and flooding had washed away most scent trails. The dogs were able to detect Jennifer's presence near where her purse was found, but couldn't establish a clear direction of travel. The investigation also focused on determining exactly when and where Jennifer had encountered the storm. Meteorological data showed that the derecho had moved through the area between 7 o'clock and 7:30 p.m., creating a narrow window during which Jennifer would have been driving on County Road 47. Weather radar data from the evening showed that the storm had been particularly intense along Jennifer's route, with wind speeds exceeding 80 miles per hour and rainfall rates that would have made driving extremely hazardous. Visibility would have been near zero during the height of the storm. The search expanded to include all waterways and low-lying areas where Jennifer's car might have been swept by floodwaters. Several creeks and drainage ditches in the area had experienced severe flooding, and it was possible that her vehicle had been carried far from the roadway. Dive teams from the Nebraska State Patrol searched farm ponds, retention basins, and swollen creeks throughout the area. However, the murky water and debris made underwater visibility extremely poor, limiting the effectiveness of these efforts. As August 1993 progressed, the search area continued to expand as investigators considered the possibility that Jennifer's car might have been carried substantial distances by the storm's powerful winds and flooding. The derecho had been strong enough to move large objects considerable distances. The case received extensive media coverage throughout Nebraska and neighboring states, with Jennifer's photograph appearing on television news programs and in newspapers. The story of a teenager disappearing during a historic storm captured public attention and generated numerous tips. Most of the tips involved reported sightings of blue Honda Civics in various locations, but investigation revealed that none of these vehicles was Jennifer's. The storm had damaged many cars throughout the region, leading to multiple false leads as people reported abandoned or damaged vehicles. One potentially significant tip came from a farmer who reported seeing what appeared to be a car's headlights in a flooded area during the storm. However, when investigators checked the location, they found only debris and standing water with no evidence of a vehicle. The Nebraska National Guard was called in to assist with the search effort, providing additional personnel and equipment for systematic coverage of the vast rural area. Guard units used all-terrain vehicles to access areas that were still inaccessible to normal vehicles. Despite involving hundreds of searchers and covering over 200 square miles, the August 1993 search operation failed to locate Jennifer Walsh or her vehicle. The combination of storm damage, flooding, and scattered debris made it nearly impossible to conduct a thorough search of all potential locations. As September 1993 arrived, the active search for Jennifer was scaled back, though the case remained open and active. Investigators continued to follow up on tips and occasionally conducted targeted searches of specific areas, but the massive daily effort was no longer sustainable. The transition from active search to ongoing investigation was devastating for the Walsh family, who had to accept that their daughter might not be found quickly despite the enormous effort that had been made. The uncertainty about Jennifer's fate was compounded by the knowledge that the storm had created ideal conditions for concealing evidence. For nearly 2 years, Jennifer Walsh's disappearance remained one of Nebraska's most puzzling missing person cases. The violent storm that had claimed her seemed to have erased all traces of what had happened during those crucial moments when she had driven into the derecho's path. The answers to Jennifer's disappearance would eventually come from an unexpected source: advanced meteorological technology that could peer back through time and reveal secrets that had been hidden by the storm itself. Chapter 3: Cold Case. The years following Jennifer Walsh's disappearance were marked by persistent efforts from her family and periodic reviews by law enforcement, but the case gradually took on the characteristics of an unsolved mystery that might never be resolved. Robert and Patricia Walsh refused to give up hope that their daughter would someday be found. They continued to search rural areas on weekends, distribute flyers, and maintain contact with investigators and media outlets throughout Nebraska and surrounding states. The couple also worked with organizations dedicated to finding missing persons, sharing their story and learning about new search techniques and technologies that might be applicable to Jennifer's case. They became advocates for improved emergency response procedures during severe weather events. Detective Rodriguez continued to review Jennifer's case file regularly, looking for any new leads or technological developments that might provide fresh insights. She maintained contact with meteorologists and storm researchers, hoping that advancing scientific understanding might shed new light on what had happened. In 1994, 1 year after Jennifer's disappearance, the case was featured on the television show Unsolved Mysteries. The program included interviews with Jennifer's family, investigators, and meteorologists who explained the severity of the August 1993 derecho. The television exposure generated hundreds of tips from viewers across the country, but most proved to be false leads or cases of mistaken identity. Several people reported seeing blue Honda Civics in various states, but none could be confirmed as Jennifer's vehicle. One tip that seemed particularly promising came from a motorist who reported seeing a car matching Jennifer's description in a wooded area of Iowa, about 100 miles from Lincoln County. However, investigation revealed that the vehicle belonged to someone else and was unrelated to Jennifer's case. The false leads were emotionally exhausting for the Walsh family, who experienced renewed hope with each tip followed by disappointment when it didn't provide answers. Patricia Walsh later described this period as living in constant uncertainty. Meanwhile, advances in meteorological science and technology were providing new tools for understanding severe weather events. Doppler radar technology was becoming more sophisticated, and satellite imagery was offering increasingly detailed views of storm systems. Dr. Michael Rodriguez, a meteorologist at the National Weather Service office in Omaha, had been conducting research on the August 1993 derecho as part of a broader study of severe weather patterns in the Great Plains. The storm had been particularly noteworthy for its intensity and the damage it had caused. Rodriguez's research involved analyzing archived satellite data, radar images, and ground-based weather observations to better understand how the derecho had developed and moved across Nebraska. This type of historical analysis was becoming increasingly important for improving weather forecasting and severe storm warnings. The August 1993 derecho had been captured by several weather satellites, providing detailed imagery of the storm's structure and movement. However, the satellite data from 1993 was of much lower resolution than what was available by the mid-1990s, requiring specialized analysis techniques to extract useful information. In early 1995, Rodriguez began using newly developed computer software to enhance and analyze the archived satellite imagery from the 1993 storm. The software could increase the resolution of older satellite data and highlight features that might not have been visible with earlier analysis methods. The enhanced satellite imagery revealed new details about the storm's structure and the path of its most intense winds. Rodriguez was particularly interested in areas where the storm had caused ground damage, as these locations corresponded to the most severe wind patterns. As Rodriguez continued his analysis throughout 1995, he began to notice unusual features in the satellite imagery that didn't correspond to typical storm patterns. Some of these anomalies appeared to be reflective objects on the ground that had been illuminated by lightning during the storm. Most of these reflective objects were easily explained as metal roofing, farm equipment, or other normal features of the rural landscape. However, one particular anomaly caught Rodriguez's attention because of its location and characteristics. In September 1995, while reviewing enhanced satellite imagery from the peak of the August 1993 storm, Rodriguez spotted what appeared to be a small, highly reflective object in a location that didn't correspond to any known structures or landmarks. The object was visible in several consecutive satellite images, suggesting it was stationary during the storm. The location of the reflective object was in a remote area of Lincoln County, several miles from any paved roads but within the general area where Jennifer Walsh had been traveling when she disappeared. Rodriguez realized that the object might be significant to the missing person case. Rodriguez immediately contacted the Lincoln County Sheriff's Office to report his discovery. He provided detailed coordinates for the location of the anomaly and explained how enhanced satellite analysis had revealed the previously undetected reflective object. Detective Rodriguez, no relation to the meteorologist, was immediately interested in the discovery and arranged to meet with Dr. Rodriguez to examine the satellite imagery in detail. The possibility that modern technology might finally provide a breakthrough in Jennifer's case was both exciting and sobering. The satellite images showed that the reflective object had appeared during the storm and remained visible in subsequent images taken over the following days. The object's characteristics were consistent with sunlight reflecting off the metal roof or windshield of a vehicle. Most significantly, the location of the object was in a low-lying area that would have been prone to flooding during the severe storm. If Jennifer's car had been swept off County Road 47 by floodwaters, it might have ended up in exactly such a location. The discovery of the satellite anomaly provided the first concrete lead in Jennifer Walsh's case in nearly 2 years. However, confirming whether the reflective object was actually Jennifer's car would require a ground expedition to one of Nebraska's most remote and challenging locations. Chapter 4: The Satellite Discovery. September 15, 1995 was a clear autumn day when Dr. Michael Rodriguez sat in his office at the National Weather Service in Omaha, studying enhanced satellite imagery from the August 1993 derecho. Rodriguez had been working for months to extract every possible detail from the archived satellite data using newly developed image enhancement software. The satellite imagery from August 14, 1993 showed the massive storm system in unprecedented detail, revealing the structure and movement of the derecho as it swept across Nebraska. Rodriguez was particularly focused on the period between 7 o'clock and 7:30 p.m., when the storm had been at its most intense over Lincoln County. As Rodriguez examined a sequence of enhanced satellite images taken at 5-minute intervals during the storm's peak, he noticed something unusual in a remote area approximately 4 miles southeast of County Road 47. A small, highly reflective object appeared suddenly in the imagery and remained visible in subsequent frames. The object was located in what appeared to be a natural depression surrounded by agricultural fields, an area that would have been prone to severe flooding during the intense rainfall that accompanied the derecho. The location was several miles from any paved roads and had likely never been systematically searched. Rodriguez carefully analyzed the reflective properties of the object, comparing its characteristics to known features in the surrounding landscape. The object's size, shape, and reflectivity were consistent with sunlight reflecting off the metallic surface of an automobile. Most significantly, the timing of the object's appearance in the satellite imagery corresponded exactly with the period when Jennifer Walsh would have been driving through the area during the storm. The object first appeared in images taken at 7:15 p.m. on August 14, 1993. Rodriguez realized that he might have discovered the location of Jennifer Walsh's missing vehicle using technology that hadn't been available during the original search efforts. The enhanced satellite analysis could reveal details that had been impossible to detect with the equipment and techniques available in 1993. Rodriguez immediately contacted Detective Lisa Rodriguez at the Lincoln County Sheriff's Office to report his discovery. He explained that satellite imagery enhancement had revealed what appeared to be a vehicle in a remote location that corresponded to the time frame of Jennifer's disappearance. Detective Rodriguez was immediately intrigued by the meteorologist's discovery and arranged to meet with him that afternoon to examine the satellite imagery in detail. She brought along topographic maps of Lincoln County to help correlate the satellite coordinates with actual ground locations. The meeting between the two Rodriguez professionals, they were not related despite sharing a surname, marked a breakthrough moment in Jennifer's case. Dr. Rodriguez's satellite images showed a clear anomaly that Detective Rodriguez recognized as potentially significant physical evidence. The location identified in the satellite imagery was in a natural drainage area known locally as Miller's Draw, approximately 4.2 miles southeast of where Jennifer was last seen. The area was privately owned farmland that was typically inaccessible except during dry conditions. Detective Rodriguez contacted the landowner, Farmer William Miller, to request permission to search the area. Miller was cooperative and provided directions to access the remote location, though he warned that the area was often muddy and difficult to reach even with four-wheel drive vehicles. On September 18, 1995, a search team consisting of Detective Rodriguez, several deputies, and Dr. Rodriguez set out to investigate the location identified in the satellite imagery. The team used GPS coordinates derived from the satellite data to navigate to the precise location of the anomaly. The search area was indeed remote and challenging to access, requiring the team to park on a county road and hike approximately half a mile across agricultural fields to reach Miller's Draw. The natural depression was partially hidden by vegetation and would have been easy to overlook during ground searches. As the search team approached the coordinates identified by Dr. Rodriguez, they immediately spotted something that confirmed the significance of the satellite discovery. Partially buried in mud and overgrown with vegetation was the blue Honda Civic that had belonged to Jennifer Walsh. The vehicle was located exactly where the satellite imagery had indicated, in a low-lying area that had clearly been subject to severe flooding during the 1993 storm. The car was positioned as if it had been swept off a roadway by rushing water and deposited in the natural drainage area. Jennifer's Honda Civic was severely damaged, with the roof crushed and windows broken, consistent with being caught in the violent winds and debris of the derecho. The vehicle's position and damage pattern suggested that it had been rolled and tumbled before coming to rest in Miller's Draw. Most significantly, Jennifer's remains were found inside the vehicle, still wearing her seatbelt and work uniform from Murphy's Family Restaurant. The discovery finally answered the questions that had haunted her family and the community for over 2 years. The forensic examination of the scene revealed that Jennifer had likely been killed instantly when her car was caught in the storm's violent winds and tumbled into the drainage area. She had been attempting to drive home when the derecho's most intense winds had struck her vehicle. The location where Jennifer's car was found was approximately 2.5 miles from County Road 47, indicating that the vehicle had been swept a considerable distance by floodwaters during the storm. The powerful winds and torrential rainfall had created conditions that could move automobiles significant distances from roadways. Dr. Rodriguez's analysis of the satellite imagery had revealed that Jennifer's car had become visible to satellites once the storm passed, and sunlight could reflect off its metallic surfaces. However, the remote location and difficult access had kept it hidden from ground searchers for 2 years. The discovery of Jennifer Walsh through satellite technology marked a breakthrough in missing person investigation techniques. It demonstrated how advancing technology could solve cases that had seemed impossible to resolve using traditional search methods. For the Walsh family, the discovery brought both closure and grief. They finally had answers about what had happened to Jennifer, but they also had to confront the reality that she had died alone during the storm while trying to make it home safely. Chapter 5. Answers from Above. The recovery of Jennifer Walsh's vehicle and remains from Miller's Draw on September 18, 1995, marked the end of one of Nebraska's most challenging missing person cases. The discovery, made possible by enhanced satellite imagery analysis, provided definitive answers about Jennifer's fate and demonstrated the power of emerging technology in criminal investigations. The forensic examination of Jennifer's Honda Civic revealed the full extent of the violence she had encountered during the August 1993 derecho. The vehicle showed evidence of having been lifted and tumbled by winds exceeding 80 miles per hour, consistent with the storm's documented intensity in that area. Dr. Patricia Williams, the forensic pathologist who examined Jennifer's remains, determined that she had died from massive trauma sustained when her vehicle was caught in the storm's powerful winds. The injuries were consistent with the car being rolled and crushed, and death would have been instantaneous. The investigation revealed that Jennifer had likely been driving eastbound on County Road 47 when the derecho's most intense winds struck her area around 7:15 p.m. on August 14, 1993. Meteorological analysis showed that this location had experienced some of the storm's most severe conditions. The floodwaters that accompanied the derecho had swept Jennifer's car from the roadway into Miller's Draw, where it had remained hidden for over 2 years. The natural depression had acted like a collection point for storm debris, and Jennifer's vehicle had been buried under mud and vegetation. Dr. Rodriguez's satellite analysis revealed why the car had never been found during the original search efforts. The vehicle's location was in an area that appeared unremarkable from ground level and was several miles from Jennifer's known route, making it unlikely to be searched without specific information. The enhanced satellite imagery showed that Jennifer's car had been visible from space almost immediately after the storm passed, but the technology and techniques needed to detect it hadn't been available in 1993. The reflective metal surfaces of the vehicle had created a signature that could only be identified using advanced image enhancement. The case demonstrated how meteorological technology could be applied to missing person investigations in ways that hadn't previously been considered. Dr. Rodriguez's technique of using enhanced satellite imagery to locate storm victims opened new possibilities for solving similar cases. The Nebraska State Patrol and FBI expressed immediate interest in Dr. Rodriguez's methods and began developing protocols for using satellite imagery in missing person cases involving severe weather events. The technique would later be applied to other unsolved disappearances throughout the Great Plains. For the Walsh family, the discovery of Jennifer's remains provided the closure they had desperately sought for over 2 years. Robert and Patricia Walsh were finally able to lay their daughter to rest and begin the healing process that had been impossible while her fate remained unknown. The family held a memorial service for Jennifer at North Platte High School, where she would have been a senior. Her classmates, teachers, and community members gathered to remember a young woman whose life had been cut short by one of nature's most violent phenomena. The investigation also revealed that Jennifer had made heroic efforts to survive the storm. Evidence found in her car showed that she had attempted to call for help on her cell phone and had tried to signal her location by flashing her car's headlights during the storm. Jennifer's cell phone, recovered from the vehicle, contained a partial voicemail message she had been attempting to leave for her parents when the storm struck. The message, though damaged by water, preserved her final words expressing love for her family and her determination to make it home safely. The case had a significant impact on severe weather preparedness and emergency response procedures throughout Nebraska. Jennifer's story became part of educational programs designed to help people understand the dangers of driving during severe weather events. The Lincoln County Sheriff's Office established new protocols for searching during and after severe weather events, incorporating lessons learned from Jennifer's case. These procedures emphasized the importance of checking drainage areas and locations where vehicles might be swept by floodwaters. Dr. Rodriguez's research on the August 1993 derecho, which had led to the discovery of Jennifer's car, contributed to improved understanding of these violent storm systems. His work helped meteorologists better predict where derechos might cause the most severe damage and displacement of objects. The National Weather Service began incorporating Dr. Rodriguez's satellite analysis techniques into their post-storm assessment procedures, using enhanced imagery to locate damage and potentially missing persons after severe weather events. For Dr. Rodriguez, the successful application of his research to solving Jennifer's disappearance represented a profound intersection of science and human tragedy. His work had not only advanced meteorological understanding but had also brought peace to a grieving family. The case established precedents for using historical satellite data in criminal investigations and missing person cases. Law enforcement agencies throughout the United States began exploring how archived satellite imagery might be applied to cold cases involving natural disasters. Jennifer Walsh's story became a landmark case in the application of technology to missing person investigations. Her disappearance had been solved not by traditional detective work, but by the careful analysis of data captured from space during one of Nebraska's most violent storms. The satellite imagery that revealed Jennifer's location had been waiting in archives for 2 years, containing answers that no one knew how to extract until technology advanced sufficiently to make the analysis possible. Her case demonstrated that sometimes the solutions to mysteries are literally above our heads, waiting for the right technology and expertise to bring them to light. Final words. The resolution of Jennifer Walsh's disappearance in 1995 marked a significant advancement in the application of satellite technology to missing person investigations. The case demonstrated how meteorological research tools could be repurposed to solve criminal cases and provide closure to grieving families. Dr. Rodriguez's satellite analysis technique was adopted by law enforcement agencies throughout the United States and became standard procedure for investigating disappearances related to severe weather events. His methods helped solve dozens of similar cases over the following decades. The Walsh family established the Jennifer Walsh Memorial Fund, which provides scholarships for students pursuing careers in meteorology and emergency management. They also supported research into severe weather safety and the development of improved emergency response protocols. Jennifer's case led to significant improvements in severe weather warning systems and public education about the dangers of driving during extreme weather events. Her story became part of drivers' education programs and severe weather preparedness training throughout Nebraska and neighboring states. The intersection of meteorological science and criminal investigation that solved Jennifer's case opened new fields of research and application. Universities began offering courses in forensic meteorology, and consulting firms specializing in weather-related investigations were established. Today, satellite technology routinely assists in search and rescue operations and missing person investigations worldwide. The techniques pioneered by Dr. Rodriguez have been refined and expanded, making it possible to locate missing persons and disaster victims with unprecedented accuracy. Jennifer Walsh's legacy lives on through the technological advances and safety improvements that resulted from her case. Her disappearance in a violent storm led to discoveries that have helped save countless lives and bring closure to families facing similar tragedies. The satellite imagery that revealed Jennifer's location after 2 years of searching proved that sometimes the answers we seek are hidden in plain sight, waiting for the right technology and perspective to bring them into focus. Her story remains a testament to the power of science and persistence in the pursuit of truth and justice.